It would be
Bosnia to visit some of the U.S. peacekeepers there. The Supreme Court this morning agreed to decide if a tactic used to prosecute accused drug dealers violates the Constitution. NBC Radio Legal Affairs correspondent Bonnie Bay has the story.
The question is whether the government can prosecute someone for drug crimes while simultaneously trying to confiscate property paid for through criminal activity. Some defendants claim this double-barrel action violates the Constitution's double jeopardy clause. The Clinton administration supports the two-pronged approach, but it lost two cases in Michigan and California where lower federal courts sided with the defendants. In the Michigan case, Guy Jerome Ussery was charged with manufacturing marijuana, and he was forced to pay federal agents $13,000 to keep from losing his house. Bonnie Bay, Washington.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Endeavour is preparing for a spacewalk tomorrow. It'll be the first of two extravehicular excursions planned for this 9-day scientific mission. The U.S. is continuing its program to restock the gray wolf population in the Rockies over the objections of ranchers. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says it will bring 30 wolves down from Canada. Half will be freed in Yellowstone National Park. The other half will be released in the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness area in central Idaho. On Wall Street at this hour, the Dow Industrials average is at 5038.36. That's down almost 27 points from yesterday's close. Trading is active. With NBC Radio News, I'm Jeff Finch.
Hello, my name is Willie Walker from Goldsboro Job Service at 309 North William Street, and we have the following job openings. A brake/muffler specialist. As a brake muffler specialist, you will repair mufflers and brakes on domestic and foreign cars, repair and overhaul brake systems, must have own tools. Next is a groundkeeper. As a groundkeeper, you will maintain the campus grounds, including lawns, trees, shrubs, parking areas, roads, and athletic facilities. Next is a processing assistant 3. As a process assistant 3, you must pass the ESC typing test at 45 net words per minute, issue WIC vouchers, and instruct clients in the proper use of vouchers, do data entry, filing, and maintain records. Next, as a correction officer. As a correction officer, you're responsible for the custody and supervision of inmates in a state correction facility. If you're interested in any of these jobs, please contact Goldsboro Job Service Office between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.
I'm Vic Thomas with WGBR News.
From shiver to sizzle, winter to summer, Phillips 66 Trop Arctic Motor Oil can give you the hot-cold protection and everything in between. Inside your car's engine, the temperature can go from winter to scorching summer in minutes. That's the protection Phillips 66 Trop Arctic is engineered for. Just look for Phillips 66 Trop Arctic Motor Oil in the classic black bottle. Hot, cold protection, and everything in between. Available at Phillips 66 stations near you. Phillips 66 products distributed by Griffin Oil Company, 511 South John Street, Goldsboro.
Well, all the warnings and advisories across the area have been allowed to expire at this point. Most of the precipitation moving to our east. We'll look for mostly cloudy skies today, breezy and cold out. A few sprinkles in southeast sections, maybe a freezing sprinkle or two in the northwest early. Otherwise, maybe some occasional flurries. Highs today around 30 up toward Roxborough, up to as much as 40 degrees down toward Lumberton. Tonight, clouds decreasing overnight.
Somebody's got a surprise plan. This is generally when it's going to happen. And every year I say, look, don't make a big deal of it. And every year somebody does. So I'm just waiting for that door to open. It's not going to happen? Really? I can skate free and clear here without having to have in the back of my mind a momentary preparedness for an onslaught of people singing. Okay, good. Rush Limbaugh, free and clear, here on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network as we get you into a huge weekend.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America, the way it ought to be. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh. Live from New York, it's Open Line Friday.
That's right. That's where we open the show up to the callers and give them a little bit more freedom. I'm going to use that word today. A little bit more freedom in choosing the items that are discussed today. Open Line Friday, 1-800-282-2882 if you'd like to join us. Birthday number 45 today. It was, what? What? Mr. Snerdley, what is so great about it? It's, well, yeah, okay, considering the alternative, I'll take a birthday. There's no question about it. But it's still, as I said yesterday, it's no major achievement. It isn't any big accomplishment other than, as I've said, living in New York. It is a challenge staying alive. And each day, not just each year, but each day that you accomplish that feat, it's worthy of note. How I got to tell you something. My wonderful wife, when I got home from work on Wednesday night, she said, I really, I think I want to give you a birthday present now, but I'm afraid to because it's going to cause you a lot of work. And I said, you're going to give me a birthday present that's a lot of work? Well, it might be a lot of work. I don't know. Of course, just tempting me here. And I said, my birthday's not for 2 days. Why are you going to do it now? Well, because I can't tell you that because then you would know. I said, I'm going to know in minutes anyway because you're going to give it to me. So why can't you? Well, you'll just see. So I said, okay. I mean, is there going to be a present on my birthday? Oh, yeah, I got a couple little crazy things, but I want to give you the big one now. I said, okay, fine. This happened at Christmas time, too. Because both of us, we are impatient. We cannot wait when it's gift-giving time. So she goes back into the bowels of the apartment and comes back 20 minutes later carrying this huge brown trash bag loaded with flat something and puts it on my desk in my office. And she says, there it is. Now, don't open it yet. So, and then she went back to wherever she went and came back with a piece of paper. And she said, okay, now you can open it. So I pulled what was in the trash bag out of the trash bag. You know what it was? She got, I think it's 6 or 8, maybe 10 major American newspapers published on the date I was born, January 12th, 1951. The original papers. They're all yellowed. One of them is the Kansas City Star. There's the Baltimore Sun, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, which was published just 100 miles north of where I was born. And what she was thinking that I would go through these newspapers and pull some things out and bring them in here and talk about it on the birthday today. And that's what she thought would constitute a lot of work. Because it's just additional show prep with papers, albeit from 45 years ago. So it is amazing. We went through some of them Wednesday night, and it is amazing to note the differences in journalism. It's just incredible. And I didn't, because I had a late night last night, and we had a number of things that we had to do last night. I didn't have any time to go through these in detail, and I can't bring them in here. They are huge. They're bound in leather, and they are, a little bit larger than the newspaper, unfolded. And so there's no room here to put it in front of me, and I wouldn't want to anyway because it'd tear the pages as I'm ripping through there to go. So I've got to go through them and basically make notes of some of the things that I find interesting. A couple of things. Let me just give you an example. On the front page, I think it's the front page, if not, it's inside page 2 or something, of the Kansas City Star is a story about a dentist and his assistant and a priest who has a dental appointment. And the dental appointment the priest has ends up this way. The priest ends up marrying the dentist and his dental assistant during his appointment and gets no dental work because the dentist just doesn't have time to stop working to get married. And here we are in the midst of New York City shuts down and people look forward to it. So with 20 inches of snow, I will bet you that 15 years ago this city would not have shut down with 20 inches of snow. I will just bet you there's a climate in this country of anything you can do to skate get out of work. The first opportunity that people have, they'll take it not to work. Here's a guy but that's not the main point. The main point of the story in terms of journalism and how it's changed, the story referred to the dentist and his pretty assistant. Now, no way would a story today refer to somebody's assistant as being pretty. The word wouldn't be allowed because it would make the ugly feel uncomfortable. It would reinforce the fact that not everybody's pretty. And it would also, probably the journalists of today would say it's not important to the story anyway. And Marta was a journalism student and graduate. She was explaining all this to me, and I said, but you know something? I have to tell you something, Marta, and I know she was going to get irritated at me. But I said, in this kind of story, I think it's fine in there. The dentist and his pretty assistant. What's wrong with it? And, of course, I got the answer, well, in strict journalistic terms, it's irrelevant, it's unimportant, it takes up space, and that's why it wouldn't be in there. Of course, there are politically correct reasons now why things like that wouldn't be in there. And then I noticed in a lot of other stories, people's looks are reported. In headlines, in the body of the story, whether they've got a scar, whether they walk with a limp, they are in the bodies of these stories. The Soviets or the communists back in 1951 in newspapers were referred to as the Reds. You know, now, I mean, you could call your enemy an enemy. In journalism back in 1951 when I was born. Now you cannot refer to your enemy as the enemy. They are equal participants in humanity. You know, and so they are the Soviets, and you have to treat them with reverence and great respect and so forth. But back then, you could call them the Reds. People who committed crimes in these stories were referred to in not all that flattering a way. There was no sympathy expressed for them, and if they did something stupid, the story, you didn't have to assume that it was stupid. Like, yeah, we did yesterday. Today's morning update is about two criminals who robbed a video store and ended up making a rap tape with equipment that they stole, thereby sealing their fate. They used the evidence, but the story did not say these people are stupid. These are just a couple of stupid, dumb criminals. We had to say it in the update. In old days, it would have been in the story that this was a dumb thing to do. But that might offend the criminals today. There are all sorts of things like this that I have. You ought to see the ads. Do you know that a black and white Admiral television set with 3-speed phonograph and super heterodyne AM radio, a 14-inch TV, cost $349 in 1951? And I looked at that, hasn't changed much. Make black and white color. You know, TVs, that hasn't changed much. Yet a refrigerator, a family-sized refrigerator, 7.5 cubic feet or whatever, $89. Oh, yeah, and the ads have, there's no Calvin Klein sort. This is going to be one of the greatest educations and comparative analysis that I could ever do, because there are ads for department stores, for ladies' clothing and so forth. And it's all illustrations. There are no pictures. There are, etchings of women wearing jackets and coats and so forth. But there are no bra and lingerie or that photos. No Calvin Klein ads with well-endowed 15-year-old horny toads standing alongside subways. You can really see how things have changed and, in some people's minds, deteriorated. And it doesn't matter what newspaper you look at. It doesn't matter if it's an East Coast newspaper or if it's a Midwestern newspaper. And I haven't gotten to any editorial pages yet. I don't expect that to have changed much, but it's fascinating. So I'm going to spend some time tomorrow, Saturday, going through all these things, and I've got to because I can't bring them in here. There's nowhere to put them, and they are huge. They are huge. Yeah, that's so she wanted to give me this stuff Wednesday so that I could go through them Wednesday night and last night and bring them in here today and talk about them. I said, this is massive, Marta. I mean, just the things that we found, we're just looking through one paper. And so she did give me a present that will require work. A lot of work. Yeah, well, not a Rush birthday week, but a Rush birthday couple of days. But and these things are leather bound, and there's a certificate in the front that certifies that they are the real thing, and they're yellowed, and you can tell it's newsprint. But it's just so, you know, and plus this comes on the heels of. We had a column this week. Somebody that writes for Spin Magazine wanted to, you know, discredit this notion that we should all try to go back and find the easier times of the 50s, saying that it wasn't possible. So I'm gonna pay special attention to the way life is portrayed via journalism in the 1950s. I'll tell you, there is a clear difference. You do not, just in looking at some of these stories, like the story about the dentist and the priest. You got an uplifted sense after reading it. You felt good after reading the story. Today, that story might. What was the priest doing marrying somebody outside the church? Why? Was she pregnant? Why is he doing this in the other? There'd be some negative connotation to it. Or the dentist is what freak is it that won't leave his office to get married? You know, the very idea the guy is committed and devoted to his patients and work would be missed. I felt good reading this story. You feel good reading. You feel good. It's a lot of stories about the Korean War. And you feel good reading about how our side's doing the right thing and that the Reds are rotten SOBs in these. It's just great to read that the enemy is the enemy. The bad guys are the bad guys. You feel good reading this stuff. Quite a contrast from reading newspapers today. It's huge. It's remarkable. So I will get you some details. I'll get you some details of what I'm talking about, bring in some of the stories that I will work feverishly tomorrow in preparation for the NFL playoff games, championship games on Sunday. It'd be a great way to spend a Saturday. Speaking of the press, how many of you saw the president's, well, probably, this is the point. Not many people did see the president's press conference because they're either working or watching Oprah or Sally or Ricky. But I, ladies and gentlemen, because I am devoted to you much as the dentist is devoted to his patients, I watched the press conference, and I watched Mr. Newt following the press conference, and then I watched the press analyze them both on the Clinton News Network. I'll tell you, CNN yesterday was abominable. What happened on CNN yesterday after the press conference and then after Mr. Newt's press conference that he held out in Seattle. I have some comments on that, plus your phone calls. Here again is the number, 800-282-2882. Don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
You know, my good friends, you've come to hear about only the finest and best products around on this show. And so it is with Buckler Non-Alcoholic Brew. You know why? Because Buckler is the best tasting non-alcoholic brew on the market. Believe me, folks, there is no argument. Buckler is the clear taste test winner. It's crisp, clean, and fresh, a distinctive, satisfying taste that makes Buckler not only a great non-alcoholic beverage, but a great tasting alternative to any beverage for lunch, dinner, or when you're just relaxing with friends. Have it instead of iced tea or cola. I mean, this stuff is flat out great. You see, my friends, Buckler is brewed by Heineken, America's #1 selling imported beer. These people brew consistently great products. Buckler is one of them, no exception. So do yourself a favor. Try Buckler. And remember, if a restaurant or store doesn't have it, ask for it by name. You may have to spell it, so here it is. Buckler is B-U-C-K-L-E-R. The great taste of an imported beer without all the alcohol.
If you feel tired, low on energy, and you know you're not eating right, you're not alone. Doctors say it's a common complaint. We call it nutritional fatigue. Well, now there's NutriStart, a powerful new energy source with complete and balanced nutrition in one delicious drink. In fact, 80% of doctors would recommend NutriStart's formula to fight nutritional fatigue. So start feeling great today. Make a new start with NutriStart.
At Courtesy, they don't have a 3-day sale to entice you. No matter what time of the year, Courtesy buyers look for the best possible product, then advertise it at the absolute lowest price. Every day of the week, Monday or Saturday, you'll find the best prices at Courtesy, Buick, GMC, Torcana, Mercedes. Nobody sells for less. And for program cars, Courtesy has just made a major purchase and is passing the values on to you, like the Hyundai Accents, equipped starting from an incredible $8,989. It's your choice. 95 Buick Skylark 4-door, 95 Olds Achieva, or 95 Chevy Corsica. $10,489. Your choice, 95 Buick Century or 95 Old Sierra, $10,989. And your choice, 95 Pontiac Transport Van, 95 Chevy Lumina APV Van, or 95 GMC Safari Van, $14,989. A sale every day of the week at courtesy Buick GMC Tarkana Mercedes. Nobody sells for less. Highway 70 bypass Goldsboro. Tax tag and die for your extra. See newspaper for complete details.
This is John Lewis with O'Berry & Lewis Insurance. I would like to thank the many people who have heard my radio ads and call me for assistance with your insurance needs. But some just listen and do nothing. They don't believe there's much difference in the cost for auto and homeowners insurance from one company to the next. But that's not right. It'll take less than 5 minutes to call or come in my office for a home, mobile home, auto, or watercraft insurance quote. This includes jet skis and ATVs. Just give us a try. O'Berry & Lewis Insurance. Call 735-1237 or stop in at 200 East Spruce Street, Goldsboro.
It's a shocking turn of events. After many years of operating a successful furniture store in Goldsboro, Snoozer's Home Furniture is quitting the business, closing their doors forever. Everything must be sold in a matter of days. Thousands of dollars worth of name brand furniture being dumped in the public market for a fraction of normal worth. This giant quitting business stock being sold on a first-come basis. Time is master. Bring your trucks and trailers to Snoozer's Home Furniture, 3306 East Ash Street, Goldsboro. Open today from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Hi, you people. Open Line Friday. Rush Limbaugh, optimistic and smiling as always. Our phone number is 800-282-2882. I want to grab a couple of phone calls here, and then after the break at the bottom of the hour, I will give you my take on the president's press conference, Newt's press conference, and then some of what I saw in the press, primarily CNN, after it. And it was just amazing to behold. Here is Chuck in Stewartsville, Missouri. Chuck, welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. You are on the air.
Well, mega happy birthday dittos, Rush.
Thank you, sir. Thank
From
you.
me and all the other farmers out here that listen to you while we work.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say I have been so unhappy about the way people have portrayed Bob Dole, and I don't think he's getting anywhere near the credit he deserves.
For what?
Well, first of all, you go right back here 2 weeks ago when his enough is enough. I don't think anybody gave him the credit then, except I did hear you then, a few days later when you came back from vacation. But nobody, said that he had the perception and the knowledge to know what was going on and to say that we are using the wrong strategy, we have to change it. That's the beginning. But then you go on back during the years of 93 and 94 when he was the leader in the Senate, and he had just, I don't remember the exact votes, maybe you do, but the Republicans were so outnumbered during those years that nobody thought they could do anything. And it was only under his leadership that he got his forces together. He mustered them every time for every vote. He held the Republicans together. He got enough Democrats to go with him. And he was the one who brought about Clinton. And the frustration that he showed when he got on the podium and says, all I get is no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
That was Bob Dole who brought that about.
Well, one thing about the vote, or Dole's statement on enough is enough, he was following some House Republicans there because they had also moved in that direction. But my only point to callers on that issue was that there was no cave on the concept there.
I agree.
There was no cave on the concept of a balanced budget, giving Clinton in or giving into Clinton or any of that on that score. And I think that's what people needed to realize. I have also a little news story. You sound like to me that you are saying that the Republicans might not be as far advanced as they are without Dole. Am I correct in assuming you believe that?
I feel that very strongly. I feel the Republican Revolution would have never happened without Bob Dole.
How so? Now, you're stunning zillions of people when you say that. You mean since the election of 1994, you think it wouldn't have gotten as far as it has without Dole in the Senate?
I don't think the election of 94 would have came out the way it did without Dole in the Senate. You go back to 1993 and 1994 when Clinton and Hillary thought, they knew for sure they were going to get their health care agenda through. It was Bob Dole who stopped that. Do you remember how happy he was that day you had him on talking about this, and he announced they don't have closure? They can't bring it to a vote?
Right.
He was so happy that day you could just hear it in his voice. And it was him fighting against them. And it was him, along with your publicizing it, that showed America this is something we don't want.
All right, Chuck, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Well, whether he's totally right or whether or not many of you people agree with it, I must tell you I'm a little bit encouraged because I get, frankly, a little frustrated all the anti-negative Dole calls that come in here because I think a lot of them are emotion-based and founded in other motivations rather than an actual analysis of Dole's contributions. But look, I have another little Dole story to pass on to you here. He has stood up for the way the Republicans are being shafted in the press over their coverage of the federal budget. And he mentioned his anger as he explained why he favored charging broadcasters for licenses for a new generation of television. You know, they're expanding the spectrum, and everybody thinks that the channels ought to be just disseminated at a nominal fee or given away. And Dole wants to charge these people. He said, why should I give you, and he's looking at a bunch of television executives and reporters, why should I give you a $40 billion giveaway when you're driving my approval rating numbers through the floor on Medicare? This was a 30-minute session he had with these people. And this is not the stuff of a wimp. I mean, he's sitting there saying these are people who desperately need these frequencies to expand their own horizons, and don't. Why should I give it away to you? Why should I make it easy for you people to trash me? Which I think is a good transition into what happened yesterday with the presidential press conference, followed by Mr. Newt's press conference. Because it is obvious, ladies and gentlemen, that President Clinton is factually challenged. He just ignores the facts, and the press then ignores them. That was the biggest bunch of softball questions I've seen yet at a presidential press conference. They were softballs. It was embarrassing. We'll have details and analysis right after this break.
I hear this all the time. I don't have allergies, but I want a high filtration vacuum cleaner to cut down on dust. I'm David Orrick, manufacturer of the 8-pound Orrick Hotel Vacuum. Our Sealock hypoallergenic upright has virtually no afterdust. It's durable, lightweight, and the housing is guaranteed for 10 long years. Call me at 1-800-842-8900. I'll send you one to use for 15 days, no obligation. If you don't love it, you don't keep it. Call 1-800-842-8900 for a free brochure.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
I'm Vic Thomas with WGBR News. The Wayne Health Board at their regular monthly meeting yesterday adopted a community health plan which is designed to help improve lifestyles and health in the community. Under the plan, more primary care physicians will be sought. Attempts to make a significant reduction in adolescent pregnancies will be made. Health Department Director Tom Bloom says in 1994, Wayne County had 408 adolescent pregnancies. Other plan objectives include reducing the occurrences of sexually transmitted diseases, in which Wayne County has a high rate of, improving lifestyle through behavioral changes, and initiating a program of effective environmental health education. The purpose of adopting this plan, according to Bloom, is to help make the state health director aware of what Wayne County thinks is most important as far as lifestyle and well-being are concerned, so he can make necessary recommendations to the legislature. Governor Jim Hunt has encouraged federal officials to reconsider plans to regulate tobacco as a drug. Estimates show the proposed regulation would cost manufacturers $6.3 million in one-time expenses and $73 million annually, while the proposed change would cost retailers $2 million annually. Goldsboro Tobacco Market Sales Supervisor Bill Parker says he feels tobacco is already currently overregulated, and he feels this regulation should be reconsidered. tobacco has a total economic impact of $1.6 billion in annual revenue. Next Monday, Wayne citizens will be observing the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. To commemorate this observance, a slate of activities are planned for the day, with the highlight being the dedication of the Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway. Highway 70 from one side of the city to the other will be named after the civil rights leader. Also on Monday, Mount Zion Disciples Church will be having youth entertainment, and the Lighthouse Gospel Mission of Tampa, Florida will hold a concert at the Paramount Theater Monday afternoon at 3. I'm Vic Thomas with WGBR News.
Well, our wintry weather should be drawing fairly quickly to a close at this point, and it looks like we've got a much-needed warm-up ahead that should stretch well into next week. Meanwhile, for this afternoon, mostly cloudy, breezy, and still cold. We'll look for some occasional flurries or sprinkles. Highs today ranging from around 30 up in northwest sections to around 40 down toward the southeast. Then tonight, decreasing cloudiness with light winds, lows mainly in the mid-20s, and then partly to mostly sunny for Saturday. A good bit warmer tomorrow, the high 42 to 47. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
World news on the hour, local news at the half. We're your news and talk leader. 1150 WGBR.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go.
Rush Limbaugh. What do you mean, let's go? We're there. We're asking you to join us. 800-282-2882. All right, press conference. Everybody's expecting some fireworks. It was milquetoast. There were no fireworks in the press conference yesterday. The president insisted, for example, that no discrepancies have been established between Mrs. Clinton's portrayal of her role and other people's accounts in the travel office. You would think that would get a follow-up question. What do you mean there are no discrepancies reported? They just let it stand. He, in this press conference, the president said, quote, "We're in the cooperation business." But then he did duck some softball questions about why embarrassing documents that have turned up, like the Watkins memo, which says HRC, they got to get our people in there, went missing for 2 years. For 2 years, we've been told by everybody in this administration, they've given up all the documents. Al Gore said it, Stephanopoulos said it, David Gergen said it. And then it seems like every week they find something new. Yet we're in the cooperation. He also said that allegations of wrongdoing on Whitewater have virtually always had no basis in fact. Yet 12 people have been indicted or copped pleas on Whitewater-related matters. Indicted or copped pleas. And the point is that there were no... I'm providing you this information. The press at this press conference didn't say, "Mr. President, how can that be when..." They just sat there and said, "Oh, he's finding his voice again. We just love him. He's finally finding his voice. He is going to be the man we all knew he could be in 1992. We love him." And you get to the stuff on the budget. And... I think Newt Gingrich in his press conference, which followed, said that 8 times the president got it factually wrong about the Republican proposal on Medicare, for example. Just one item, kept referring to Republicans' Medicare reform plans as cuts. Well, let's go to Mr. Newt, because he was in Seattle, and after this press conference, he did one of his own. And he addressed what he thought were these discrepancies, and the fact the president is factually challenged on some of these things. And I was sitting watching with Mr. Snerdley and my trusted Chief of Staff, H.R. Kit Carson, or Kit H.R. Carson, I should better say. And I said, "You watch this." I said that when the questions start, they're going to argue with him about it. And it happened. The press, he's sitting there. He goes through the whole thing. Look, we're now spending $6,700 per Medicare recipient. And in the year 2002, we will spend $7,100. Or we're spending $4,800, and it's going to go to $7,100. That's $2,300 more. That is an increase. And they said, "Well, that's what you say." And Newt said, "No, it's the fact. You know, we're not a couple of lawyers here where we're debating the merits of something. There are facts involved here. And the facts are that Medicare spending is going up. The fact is that Medicaid spending is going up. It's just not going up as much. He said it's amazing that when the president talks about his so-called cuts, he refers to them as savings. The president is going to have this amount of savings in Medicare. The president will have this amount of savings in Medicaid. But you call ours cuts. Why won't the president say that we're saving money in Medicare just as he's saving it? Well, but, and they continued to argue with him about it. So he went to a blackboard. Yeah, and actually not a blackboard. It was one of these big, oversized notepads with college professors use, and he starts writing it down for them. And then he said, look, I'll even show you how much we've compromised. And he said, here was our original plan, and here's what we ended up with. We were moving in the president's direction, but he moved away from us. He didn't try to compromise at all. They didn't pick up on it. They just continued to argue with him about the effects of all this on poor people and the elderly and so forth. So we're sitting there watching this, predictable as it could be, that you have an uneducated, stuck in the mud. The story is written before the press conference even takes place, press corps. As they cut back to CNN, now this is where it really got bad. They cut back to CNN, and I think it was Judy Woodruff and Stephen Hess in the studio. Stephen Hess is a political scientist at the liberal Brookings Institute, and Bob Franken, who is the congressional correspondent, he was on location somewhere in Capitol Hill. They go to Bob. Bob, so what do you think of all this? And Franken said three incredible things. Franken said, well, the first thing, Judy, is that Rick Massey showed up today to testify before the Whitewater Committee, and Mrs. Clinton emerged unscathed. And I was preparing a segment on the very fact that she did not emerge unscathed for my television show that we were about ready to tape. And I looked, my mouth fell open. I'm sure my eyes were incredulously wide as I looked at Mr. Snerdley and said, this is incredible. You heard our show today, right? She did not emerge unscathed. He contradicted. He failed to corroborate her basic claim about who brought the business into Madison Garrity. He said he couldn't have done it. He didn't have the authority to do it. He said he didn't remember any of the conversations Mrs. Clinton says took place. And there's Bob Franken of CNN saying, hey, it was a no big deal for Mrs. Clinton. She got good news from the Rick Massey appearance. I said, this is not possible. This just cannot be possible. Then Franken said, and let's talk about Newt next. There was Newt, old Professor Newt, at his blackboard writing down his numbers. We've heard it all before. Snerdley was so mad, he got up out of the couch, walked to another room, and got some potato chips, muttering all the way. We've heard it all before. That is the whole point. We have heard it all before, and we shouldn't have to keep hearing it again because it should be established as fact. It is fact, but not to Bob Franken and a Clinton news network. It's just Newt ranting again. It's just Newt hysterical again. It's Newt, hey, he loves being a professor. There's old Professor Newt. Then they go to Stephen Hess. And Hess says, I got to agree with Bob. I said, big surprise. I got to agree with Bob. You know what? I just don't get it, Judy. I just really don't get it. I mean, I watched this press conference. The president was offering a hand to Newt Gingrich. It was so obvious watching this press conference. The president wants to make a deal. Didn't you think so, Bob? Oh, I certainly thought the same thing, Steve. Yes, he wanted to make a deal. And Newt sits there and starts talking about the 8 times the president got it wrong. He's just missing the whole point. The president offered a hand of cooperation. He's offering him a chance to make a deal. I said, what are we watching here? This is like sending the first grade journalism students from Franklin School in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, who are going to put together a mimeograph newspaper to cover Washington. And then Judy comes back with the good old loving smile and says, you know, gentlemen, I just couldn't believe it when the president said, yeah, he's bankrupt, It's cost him a lot of money, but if he's lucky, he'll have some productive years left if he stays healthy, and he'll be fine. He's only 49 years old. It was just such a shocker, Bob, to hear the president talk about how he may have some good years left. And I said, this is what these people think is important out of this press conference? The fact that there were softball questions, the fact that Rick Massey, I thought, harmed Mrs. Clinton greatly in his appearance for the Whitewater Committee, and that Newt Gingrich once again demonstrated the President of the United States is lying, politically lying. He's acting congenital, okay? Let's just say it. He's acting congenital out there on the Medicare cuts, just continuing the same old thing. Now, you have to assume that Franken and Hess know the facts. They're not dumb. Therefore, if they know the facts, they're choosing to look past them. They're simply covering personalities. And they're covering the personalities they like the better. And in this case, they like Clinton best. It's just, there's no question about it. Newt was simply trying to present facts in the press conference, and the president was offering a deal as far as... Now, I watched it. For the life of me, I don't know what deal the president was offering, unless it's the same old deal. Scrub your plan, agree with David Bonnier's plan, and we've got a deal. And this is after Newt even detailed the compromise plans they'd offered, which I still say to you people, thank the Lord that plan was not accepted. So, I must tell you, I keep thinking that I cannot be more frustrated than I have been on previous occasions watching all this, but every time it happens, it still enrages me. And this was, to see Snerdley's face, it's a lie, Rush, they're telling lies. I said, yeah, I know. Everybody is. We've got to go. Quick break. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
The secret to getting rich in America: timing. Being at the right place at the right time. Vision. Seeing the true potential in the opportunity and taking action. Folks, this is Kevin Trudeau, author of the best-selling book Mega Memory and founder of the Trudeau Marketing Group, the nation's newest and fastest-growing multi-level marketing enterprise. I want to send you a free videotape that explains this ground floor money-making opportunity, and join the people from all across this country who are already earning thousands of dollars each and every month. Financial independence could be yours by taking action now. Folks, I've made my millions. I live my dreams. Now my goal is to help thousands of people just like you make your financial goals and dreams a reality. Let me help make you successful. Call 1-800-716-3338. That's 1-800-716-3338.